Carrie.
Good morning. I'm Tammy Smith, and on behalf of Superintendent Hoffmeister and the State Department of Education, I would like to welcome you this morning to our webinar entitled Removing Barriers for Homeless Children and Youth. This will be posted on our website in a few days. Also, if you have any questions, please put those in the chat box and I will address those after the presentation. Okay, today's agenda is we're going to talk about barriers and some of those immediate enrollment, school stability, best interest determination, credit accrual, Title I plans, extracurricular activities, and higher education. Just kind of as a review, I've put on here the ESSA Basics. The Every Student Succeeds Act was signed into law in December 2015. ESSA reauthorized the Elementary and Secondary Education Act and the Education subtitle of the McKinney-Vento Act, and ESSA amendments provide opportunities for schools to help students experiencing homelessness succeed in school. Also, as a review, I have put up here the McKinney-Vento definition of homelessness. If you were able to watch the webinar last week, went into this in quite a bit of detail. It has been posted if you were not able to watch it last week and you have questions about how to identify homeless youth and children. But just real quick, children or youth who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence, including children and youth that are sharing or doubled up, living in the housing of other persons due to loss of housing, economic hardship, or a similar reason. Those children and youth living in motels, hotels, trailer parks, or camping grounds due to the lack of alternative adequate accommodations. Living in emergency or transitional shelters or are abandoned in hospitals. The definition goes on to include those that are living in a public or private place not designed for or ordinarily used as a regular sleeping accommodation for human beings. Those that are living in cars, parks, public spaces, abandoned buildings, substandard housing, bus or train stations, or similar settings. Migratory children living in the above circumstances. And remember, not all migratory children are homeless, just if they are living in any of the situations that I just mentioned prior to this. And those unaccompanied youth could include a homeless child or youth not in the physical custody of a parent or guardian. Okay, as those of you that work with the homeless know, homelessness creates barriers. Students experiencing homelessness may be unable to meet school enrollment requirements. They may have missing school records or other paperwork that your district normally requires of someone enrolling. Many times the homeless families move around, and so the students change schools a lot, and that can present a barrier. Oftentimes, the homeless children and youth are hungry, tired, stressed out. They lack stable housing. They may not know where their next meal is coming from when they're not in school. They oftentimes don't have school supplies or a quiet place to study if they do have those school supplies. They may not have access to reliable transportation. And in the case of unaccompanied youth, they may not have a parent or guardian to help them get through all the processes that we request as they are enrolling or going through school. Now, these are just a few of the barriers that our homeless children and youth find. Oftentimes when they go to enroll or to attend school, that list could be expanded greatly, but this is what we're going to focus on today. Okay, ESSA's requirements to remove barriers. States and school districts must develop, review, and revise policies to remove barriers to the school identification, enrollment, and retention of McKinney-Vento students including barriers due to outstanding fees or fines or absences. According to the Education of Homeless Children and Youth Guidance, the requirement to remove barriers is a broad, ongoing requirement that should include regular input from homeless parents, youth, and advocates so that new barriers do not prevent students from full participation in school. What I would say about this is, oftentimes in districts when I talk to homeless liaisons or superintendents or whatever, they assure me that there are no barriers put up at their district, that homeless children and youth are welcome and they don't face any barriers. However, I would suggest that you would have meetings, regular meetings, maybe town hall type things, where you include homeless youth and the parents of homeless children and youth and see what they find as barriers, because they are coming from a whole different point of view than what we are that's sitting, in that office. So they may have a different outtake on barriers that the district may have in place and not even realize that you have that barrier that they face. So I would say a best practice is that you meet regularly, kind of a stakeholder type meeting with those that are experiencing homelessness or that have experienced homelessness and get their input on this. Okay, one of the things that ESSA has in the law for ESSA is that children and youth experiencing homelessness have the right to immediate school enrollment, even if they are lacking paperwork normally required for enrollment, and even if they've missed application or enrollment deadlines during any period of their homelessness. Okay? Immediate enrollment is defined as attending classes and participating fully in school activities. So immediate enrollment does not mean that you get them on your roll, but you don't allow them to attend class for 3 or 4 days while they are trying to track down a birth certificate or school records from a prior school or something. But rather, immediate enrollment means get those kids in school right away, okay? And then you can work on assisting them or doing what's necessary to get that paperwork that you require. In other words, I'm asking, or the law tells you, that you need to look for ways to get those kids enrolled and in school as opposed to ways to keep them from attending classes, okay? School stability. So children and youth experiencing homelessness have the right to attend the school of origin, okay? School of origin means the school that a child or youth attended when permanently housed, or the school in which the child or youth was last enrolled, and that does include public preschool, okay? So to the extent that an LEA offers a public education to preschool children, including LEA-administered Head Start programs, an LEA must meet the McKinney-Vento Act requirements for homeless children in preschool, ensuring that they remain in their public preschool of origin. Okay. So a homeless child or youth has the option of attending their school of origin if that's determined to be in their best interest, or they can attend in the local attendance area school, meaning that any school within that local attendance area that a non-homeless student would be able to attend, a homeless child or student would be eligible to attend. When the child or youth completes the final grade level served by the school of origin, the term school of origin shall include the designated receiving school at the next grade level for all feeder schools. So if they're elementary and they would be moving to a middle school, they would be able to attend the middle school that the non-homeless students that are moving up to middle school would go, and then high school as well, as long as they still meet the definition of homelessness. School placement best interest determination. In determining school placement in the best interest of the student, the school district shall Presume that keeping the child or youth in the school of origin is in the child or youth's best interest, except when doing so is contrary to the request of the parent, guardian, or unaccompanied youth. You will also consider student-centered factors related to the child or youth's best interest, including factors related to the impact of mobility on achievement, education, health, and safety, giving priority to the request of the parent, guardian, or accompanied youth. And on the SDE's website, under federal programs, we have a form that we've made that districts can use to help you when making this determination. Dispute resolution. If, after conducting the best interest determination, the district determines that it is not in the child or youth's best interest to attend the school of origin or the school requested by the parent, guardian, or unaccompanied youth, the district must provide the parent, guardian, or unaccompanied youth with a written explanation of the reasons for its determination in a manner and form understandable to the parent, guardian, or unaccompanied youth, including information regarding the right to appeal. So the parent, guardian, or unaccompanied youth always has the right to appeal this decision that was made. While the dispute is going on, the child or youth shall be immediately enrolled in the school in which enrollment is sought and can receive all services for which they are eligible until final resolution of all disputes and appeals are done. Okay, so if you have a parent or guardian or an unaccompanied youth that are appealing the decision that was made, you need to let them, or you must let them, go ahead and attend school in the school they are wanting to go to until it's resolved, all of the disputes are resolved. Duration of school of origin rights. Homeless children and youth have the right to attend the school of origin for the duration of homelessness. In any case in which a family becomes homeless between academic years or during an academic year, they are considered homeless for the remainder of that academic year. So if you become aware that a student is homeless in, say, October, and in February they have permanent housing, they still are considered homeless and will receive all of the services that they are eligible to until the end of that school year. Okay? At the beginning of the next school year, if they are still in fixed, regular, and adequate housing, they have permanent housing, then they would have to attend the school in the district where they are living, where they are residing. Okay? If that's not the school of origin, then they have to go to that school. But as for the school year that they are determined homeless, they can attend that whole year and receive benefits that they are eligible for that entire year. Does that make sense, I hope? Okay, another part of this is the transportation to the school of origin. If a McKinney-Vento eligible child or youth continues to live in an area served by the LEA in which the school of origin is located, the student's transportation to and from school of origin must be provided or arranged by the LEA in which the school of origin is located. If the homeless child or youth living arrangement in the area served by the LEA of origin terminates and the child or youth, though continuing his or her education in the school of origin, begins living in an area served by another LEA, the LEA of origin and the LEA in which the homeless child or youth is living must agree upon a method to apportion the responsibility and costs for providing the child with transportation to and from the school of origin. So this is a good reason to have that working relationship with not only your transportation department, but with like the Homeless Liaison Transportation Department in surrounding LEAs, okay, so that you can work out what is in the best interest of the child as far as transportation, getting them to and from the school of origin, as well as the cost of that. It's easier to have a plan in place before you need it than to have that homeless student show up and need the transportation. So I always suggest that you have that plan in place prior so that you're not having to hurry up at the last minute and figure everything out. Another barrier that our older students face, especially, would be credit accrual. States and school districts must implement procedures to identify and remove barriers to McKinney-Vento students so that they can receive appropriate credit for full or partial coursework satisfactorily completed at a prior school. Okay, it's important to note here that when students attend school without the ability to earn credits, their full participation is effectively denied. What's their reason for going to school if they're not earning any credit, right? So the motivation and payoff for attending school is nullified. So that can be a big barrier to our high school students. So make sure that you have in place some way for those students to receive credit for whatever coursework, for whatever time they are in your district. Title I plans. LEA Title I plans must include information as to how the LEA will identify and monitor the progress of those students who are most at risk of failure. And I would say that our homeless students are right up there in that list of most at risk of failure. It also must include the services the LEA will provide to homeless students through the use of a set-aside Part A funds. Strategies the LEA will use to effectively engage parents and families. Strategies the LEA will use to facilitate effective transitions from middle school to high school and from high school to post-secondary education. This could include concurrent enrollment or it could include career counseling that maybe helps identify the students' not only their interests but their skills and help them with navigating through the roles of maybe a career tech. Title I plans include strategies the LEA will use to reduce the overuse of discipline practices that remove students from the classroom, and also how the LEA will support, if determined appropriate, programs that coordinate and integrate academic, career, and technical education content through coordinated instructional strategies that may incorporate experiential learning opportunities and work-based learning opportunities. Extracurricular activities. The McKinney-Vento Act requires schools to ensure that children and youth experiencing homelessness who meet the relevant eligibility criteria do not face barriers to accessing academic and extracurricular activities. Participation in these activities is critical to keeping youth engaged in school, opening doors to higher education, and instilling leadership and teamwork skills that carry on into adulthood. Now, recently I've worked with a district who had it come up. Students were trying to claim homelessness so that they could play sports in a particular school or not. And you know, we in Oklahoma take our sports seriously. Okay. That is the homeless liaison's job, is to determine if that student really is homeless. But just because they are homeless doesn't mean they get to move right up to the varsity team or whatever. Okay, I need to be very careful about, you need to be very careful about that. Okay, they have rights. We do want them to participate in the extracurricular activities, but it doesn't give them special rights. Does that make sense? They don't get just to automatically be on that varsity team. So you have to follow your district's policies as well as the OSDE. Do I have all those letters right? Okay, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that. If you have questions, we'll go further, but just know that they are eligible to participate, and we want them to participate in extracurricular activities. That can be very beneficial to them, and it may mean the difference of attending school or not attending school, sadly. Okay, so develop a plan to help students who are experiencing homelessness cover expenses related to extracurricular participation, such as paying for needed equipment or activity fees. If, for instance, if they want to be in the band, okay, you might want to have instruments available for them. Not that you're purchasing them an instrument they're going to keep forever, but that you would have one that they could use while they're there at the school. Or if students have to pay activity fees to participate in clubs or band or sports or whatever, perhaps that could be covered by the district, again, removing that barrier for those homeless children and youth. Have strategies in place to obtain needed documents. If they're playing sports, many times they have to undergo a physical. So have a plan in place how you're going to help them with obtaining that physical and perhaps paying for that. Consider how districts can help these students obtain needed health examinations and records. I just covered that. And meet with transportation directors so that there is a plan in place to provide transportation after the activity. Okay, so they have to have a way to not only get to the activity but get home afterwards. Okay, higher education. School counselors must assist students experiencing homelessness with college preparation and readiness. Local liaisons, school counselors, and other educators can help prepare homeless youth for college by working to create a college-going culture, working to create a college-going mindset, providing one-on-one assistance, and providing school-level programming, okay? You know, instead of telling them they'll never be able to go to college, help encourage them to see that as a possibility, help to show them the ways that they can get to college, be a positive influence in that direction. Okay, local liaisons must inform unaccompanied youth about their independent student status on the FAFSA and assist with verification of this status. I have put on here this link. This pulls up a letter or a form letter that you can put on your district letterhead that you as the counselor or you as the local liaison are stating that you know the student's circumstances and that they are unaccompanied. And they can have that for when they go to college, and they can give that to their financial aid counselor at that time. And you say, well, why does that make a difference if they are unaccompanied and homeless? Okay, so that those two go together, unaccompanied and homeless. Then when they complete that FAFSA, they don't have to include their parents' information, income information on there. So that can make a difference in the financial aid package that they are awarded while at college. Fee waivers are available for homeless students for AP tests, the ACT, the SAT, and college applications. High school counselors receive the fee waivers directly and are responsible for getting them to students. Okay, so many times your homeless students don't know that they can go to the counselor and ask for these fee waivers. So it's up to you as the homeless liaison to help them navigate through that and to help them with that counselor get those fee waivers so that that's not a barrier for them to take those college entrance exams. Other supports. Students experiencing homelessness must receive comparable services, including transportation. They are categorically eligible for free school meals. They're eligible for support under Title I Part A through the Homeless Set-Aside, and they must be included in special education child find efforts and provided with special education services when needed. Kind of my last thoughts on this is think outside the box. How can you help them be more successful in school? Not just academically, but if you have a homeless student coming to school every day in dirty clothes, how can you help them have a change of clean clothes there at the school? Maybe you can open up your shower facilities in the morning and let some of them take showers so that they're not stinky and being made fun of by other students. So you just got to think of things outside the box, of those barriers that are helping them. Nobody wants to go to school and be made fun of. And so whatever you can do to ease some of these barriers will make a difference in their lives. Okay, questions. And I see I have some. You guys impressed? Okay. It says transportation question, but it doesn't have a question. So you might want to put that question in there, type it in there. Okay, the next one, kindergarten student with pregnant mother in motel attending the area school, which is just about under 1 mile walking distance. Her mother walks her to school every day. District policy is that students have to walk if living under 1 mile radius. The mother is going to deliver around September 6th, which will leave the student without any way to get to school. Can we remove this barrier and transport her, although this would be more than comparable services? I don't know why you couldn't. Yeah, that's a question for your district. If they will allow it, then certainly I don't see a problem with it. I don't have anything else on that. That would be a district decision because they're not. Districts are only mandated to provide transportation to the school of origin if they're living in another district. So under McKinney-Vento, they wouldn't be mandated to provide this transportation, but it certainly would be a barrier that's up there that you would want to try to get rid of if you can. How can I access this form? Not sure which form you're talking about, so you're going to have to tell me which form you're talking about. Okay, on the the one previously for FAFSA, I can put up that slide again. You just have to, I think I can.
Yeah, click right there once. Just click now go back.
Okay, there's the link to that form to determine the independent student status of unaccompanied youth. Okay, our district does not have bus routes for any students. With homeless students, do we still have to provide transportation if we don't provide transportation for any students? If they are living in your district and it's just to your schools, you're not mandated to provide transportation for them. Is that correct, Karina? It's just if they're going to the school of origin. Okay, so Karina says yes, that you would need to break down this barrier by providing transportation for them if they have no other way of getting there.
That's where you were.
Thank you. I have that. Is a child McKinney-Vento status automatically reverted at the end of a school year to not homeless? Every year at the beginning of the school year, you need to revisit that child's living situation to determine if they are still homeless. Because over the summer, they may have found permanent, stable housing. So it doesn't carry from one year to the next. How immediate is the immediate enrollment? Giving the chance for the family to meet with the liaison to make the homeless determination would seem necessary. If that happens the next day after visiting the enrollment center, is that immediate? Okay, I'm going to say immediate means immediate. Get them in school. That's kind of like finding, waiting for the documentation to come in. Now, certainly it would be great if you could determine that right at that time. I'm going to say if you could meet with them first thing that next day and have them ready to go to school, I guess that would be okay, but you want them in school as soon as possible, okay? Sometimes these families, themselves are looking for reasons not to go to school. And if you put up a barrier and say you have to wait till you meet with this person, you have to wait till we get this documentation, you have to wait, they get frustrated and they just don't come back. Okay, so immediate is as soon as possible. That work? Could you post the PowerPoint separately from the webinar so that we can access the link to the form? I can do that. I can have it done. Okay, other questions? You're asking some good ones. Give you just a few seconds to type something in. Okay, it looks like that you have, thank you, asked all the questions that you want. Here are just some resources. This will be on the PowerPoint that's posted. There's my contact information if you have any questions that you want. Skeeter, I see that. Did you find an answer to my question from the other day? I have not, but thank you for reminding me that I still need to do that. I will continue to do some research on that. I found some things, but I'm not sure it was the answer that answered it all. If a family lives in a hotel due to homelessness, but they get paid in exchange for room and board, are they still McKinney-Vento? So is this a long-term thing? Is it that they could lose that job tomorrow and not have a place to live? I'm not really sure.
Some of them, they may want to call you directly.
Yeah, call me or send me an email and we'll talk about that. Sometimes parents will claim to be homeless to gain entrance to the district. If we enroll them as homeless, then can we later deny this enrollment if we find out that is incorrect? Absolutely.
I'm going to stick those over there so you don't have to twist your head off.
Where will the PowerPoint be posted? It will be posted on the State Department of Education's website under Federal Programs and then under the subtitle of Title IX, McKinney-Vento. Can we contact you at any time with questions? Yes, you may. Do we still accept them even if we have a max on students in a classroom? For example, in kinder, we only want 20 scholars per class. Do we still allow them to enroll and be over? Yes. Right, that's why sometimes districts will reserve some spots just in case that happens, but they are required to be enrolled in school immediately. Good questions. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye to you today. I appreciate you coming in. Oh, what about pre-K students? Pre-K students, if you have spaces, but they're not mandated to be in school, correct? So if you offer pre-K, then you have to make room for them. Okay. Do you ever consider income level in determining homelessness? No. Okay, because even a wealthy individual can lose their house, right? Their house can burn down and they would be homeless. So income level is not a factor in determining homelessness. It's do they have a fixed, regular, and adequate place to lay their head at night. Oil field workers who make $100K but live in fifth wheel. Okay, they would not be considered homeless. They're there for, reasons of their employment, and it's by choice. They've decided to take that position and they're living there by choice. It is not considered a homeless situation. Is it possible on the student questionnaire to list every student instead of having a form for every student? What student questionnaire are you talking about, Skeeter? Well, I'm waiting for you to tell me what questionnaire you're talking about. Student enrollment questionnaire. I think there's a place on the student enrollment questionnaire to list all the children that live in the household. Right? I mean, there's a place for that. As far as paperwork for your district, again, that would be up to your district if they would allow you to have that filled out and use the same one for all the students. Okay. So a single father who is a truck driver by choice is not McKinney-Vento. Where are his children living? Are they in the truck with him? Yes, you're going to have to give me more information, so contact me about that. Child living with grandparent. Are those grandparents, are they in a fixed, regular, and adequate home? If so, they probably are not McKinney-Vento. Again, you need more information. It's not a black and white, everything is the same, it's all case by case. So you have to have more information than just child living with grandparents. But it's not a fixed residence, oil field worker and family living in a fifth wheel. Right, they're not living in there because of an economic hardship. It's you know, it's their choice to live there. It's not because of an economic hardship or some other kind of catastrophe. And Karina's saying it's fixed because it's where they go every day. They know it's there. They're going to go there every night and go to sleep. So it's not going to be considered McKinney-Vento. It lists all students, but we currently have every student fill it out. Again, that would be up to your district, whoever makes those policies and procedures, whether they would allow you to use that same enrollment questionnaire for all the students in that household or if they want a separate one. The students live in the truck and travel with the truck driver? You need to call me about that one and let's discuss it because I need more information. And how is that student, if they're over-the-road truck driver, how is that student able to attend school regularly? Is there a specific Title I plan form that we need to fill out or a report that needs to be completed for this? We don't have a plan that you need to fill out, but these are things that you as a district need to be thinking of with that Title I. How do you plan, how do you serve these children and other students that maybe are at high risk? So you need to have a plan for that. We don't have a form for you to fill out. Child living with someone who is not a family member or legal guardian. Okay, again, I'm going to say you need more information because they may be considered homeless and they may not. Okay, so if mom or dad has left them with a friend, and it's going to be a long term, they know that they're not going to, have reason to leave, then they may not be McKinney-Vento. So there's a lot of things that go into that, so just with this amount of information, I can't say yes or no. What if dad is driving truck and does not have a house, so kids stay with aunt while he is driving truck? Is the aunt in a fixed, regular, and adequate home? Right. So if the dad's the truck driver doesn't want to pay rent or mortgage because he's not home often because he's always out driving a truck, but he has made arrangements for this child to live in a house that's fixed, regular, and adequate, that child is not homeless. You guys are asking good questions. But what about school district? What about school district? So they would attend school in the school district that the aunt lives in? Because that's where their fixed, regular, and adequate home is located. Or get a transfer to the other school district if that's an option. Well, but they can request a transfer to another district, not because they're homeless, just because they want to transfer into another district, right? That's an option. if the district takes transfers. I'm not saying they can get in there, I'm just saying that's another option to look at if you want them in that way. We have a small trailer park in our district. Families that live there do so by choice and have lived there for years, not economic hardship. Would they be considered homeless? If that trailer that they're living in is fixed, regular, and adequate, they have electricity, they have plumbing, they have kitchen facilities, that is not a homeless situation. Same requirements for schools that have controlled enrollment numbers or enrollment lotteries. As far as requiring that they immediately enroll the students, yes. Right? If the question is, I think, is that if they are trying to attend a school that has controlled enrollment numbers or enrollment lotteries and they come as a homeless student, are they allowed to be enrolled immediately? And I would say yes. Okay, really? We're going to end this here. If you have more questions, please send me an email or call me. I would be happy to discuss any of these scenarios with you so that I can assist you with coming up to a final answer on these. Thank you again for attending and being so kind with your questions. See you next time.